It's your boy Amor, and I'm here with another banger about AI. We're gonna be building AI systems. We're gonna be selling AI systems. We're gonna be dead. What we're gonna do today is I'm just gonna zoom out a little bit right now and just do a very, very quick recap of where we ended, and I'm gonna tell you what we have right now, how we got to it, and where we're gonna go next. So right now I have a page open up. Basically, what I was explaining to you guys is what we were going to try to do by comparing the two different symptoms of the two different industries that we researched in the beginning, which ended up being the home service and the auto industry. Basically, the main reason was trying to find out who was thirstier for our AI system. And we said we're gonna do that by finding out their pain points and then looking at the symptoms of their pain points. Remember that example I gave you guys of who's thirstier? And then we're going to look at those pain points and try to basically find numbers and stats that back up these pain points. That's pretty much what we did. In the process of us doing what we did, we basically were trying to find out how much of this pain point was happening and what causes these symptoms that we found. And basically, we're trying to answer a few questions. While we were doing this, we were basically trying to find out how much of this pain point was actually happening and what causes the symptoms that we found. And then we were trying to measure a few different things, basically how annoyed they were at this happening, what was the total impact, basically what would happen if we actually sold them the AI system that we're trying to sell, and what would that outcome look like after it's actually, implemented in their business. Once we found the answer to these questions and the symptoms and the pain points, then we're going to try to compare them both and make a decision from there to see which one specifically makes more sense for us to start with. Basically, which one's the primary one we want to focus on. And at the end of that process, which by the way, there's probably like an entire hour and a half video about what we did, we landed on the fact that for home service industry, we wanted to focus more on specifically plumbing. If you're wondering how we got to plumbing, the explanation is crystal clear. Still gonna give you guys a recap here in a little bit. As for the auto industry, we're gonna focus specifically on towing. Also at the same time, if you're still wondering how we got to towing, right now I'm just gonna give you guys a super quick rundown. So we had to answer the three big questions, right? What was the frequency? What was the frustration level? And what was the outcome? First, the frequency was basically how often the thing was happening. Was it once a month? Was it twice a month? Was it every single day, multiple times a day? And then we measured the frustration level, right? We tried to measure how frustrated they are by this thing that we're talking about right here. Is this a mild annoyance? Is this something that they actively wanted gone? And then after that, we looked at the specific outcome. How immediate were the effects? What was the actual return on investment that they would receive if we were to be implementing something that we are selling to them? What does that world even look like, right? We try to put ourselves in those shoes and look at that picture. So we basically had to answer three questions, right? The first one was the frequency, second one was the frustration level, and then the outcome. The frequency was basically how often was this thing happening? Was it once a month? Was it every single day? Was it multiple times a day? And then the frustration level, right? We tried to measure how frustrated they are by this thing we're talking about right here. Was it a mild annoyance, or was it something that they really, really wanted gone? And then we looked at the outcome, right? How immediate were the effects? What is the return on investment if the thing that we're trying to build and sell to them was actually implemented? What does that world even look like for them, right? We try to kind of put ourselves in that shoe so that way we can get a realistic image of what that world actually even looks like. And this is the result of what we did on day 3. What you're watching right now, basically just diluted in a quick recap. We found on average 27% of calls across the home service industry end up getting missed. We found this 27% number across different sources. Some of them were companies trying to sell their products. Some of them were actual research based. We clicked around and found that number varied from 27 to 35 across different sources. So we just ended up sticking to the 27% for that. And on average, we researched that plumbers were getting about 500 calls a month, give or take. That's for a mid-sized business, averaging at around $1,000 per job for plumbing, because plumbing is called high ticket. So if we multiply these numbers out and we apply the 27%, we get an average loss of revenue of about $13,500 every single month. So if these numbers on average were true, plumbers are usually losing, give or take, $13,500 per month. When we looked at the frustration levels of this, and again, you can kind of watch what we did and how we got to this, we found from reports that research show that 85% of callers with emergency jobs were not going to call back. And if you're calling a plumber, usually something is wrong, right? You're not going to wait for that plumber to call you back. You're probably going to find another one. That's one of the statistics we found, which means there's a lot of urgency around these calls. Because of that, there are fewer callbacks and it's much less forgiving when it comes to actually holding on to that customer, which means there's a much higher chance of losing a high ticket job. And if you don't know what a high ticket job is, it just means a service or a job that is higher in price. It's called that high ticket. Basically, there is a much higher chance of leaving revenue on the table and leaving missed profits. And obviously that is very, very impactful. It doesn't just impact profits, but it also impacts future customer loyalty, because if you work with somebody, they're always going to want to come back to you. And customer volume, right? How big is their customer base from the amount of interactions that they're having with the customers? So if we think about it, there's a direct impact on the long-term growth of the plumbing business. If a customer finds another plumbing company, they're most likely to call them again if they have any issues, meaning that the company could potentially grow their customer base quicker than their competitors. And they have more trust when it comes to actually getting plumbing jobs done, because these people are repeat customers and they have, that very first experience with the plumbing company. So because we looked at that and analyzed it, we figured out that the outcome would be, if we were to implement a system that catches these calls, they would immediately see higher monthly revenues because they would then capture calls, and otherwise that would have slipped. They would have more long-term customers, which leads to long-term revenue because, again, people are not jumping to the next plumbing company. And because those calls are being picked up during the time of emergency, you're going to see an increased customer satisfaction and customer loyalty. Now, when we looked at towing, this was the winner out of the different industries that exist within the auto industry. We talked about tires, auto shops, and so on. The reason we chose towing is because we wanted to position ourselves where there are a lot of things that can fall through the cracks. Usually that lines up into wherever there is urgency, emergency, availability, and time. And so with towing, we chose towing because people that are calling towing companies most likely have already made up their mind on needing to tow something. They just need somebody to be available and actually fulfill that job. So a lot of people are pretty much sold on the idea. They just want pricing and availability. And that's where our leverage or our system actually comes in. On day 3, we measured that there's usually around 210 calls per month for towing companies on average. And we equated the job to be around $175 per call. Again, this is on average from what we tried to research. So if you add these numbers up, you're looking at $36,750 in potential revenue, assuming all calls were picked up, of course, but obviously that's not real, right? 27% to 30% is going to be missed, which means about $10,000 to $11,000 worth of calls would be missed or left off the table, and that's on average across the industry. We then measured the frustration level to be pretty high because, again, towing jobs are usually urgent and they need things to happen right now. And because the door is super quick to shut on towing companies, if they have a missed call, most likely they're missing something that they don't even have to work too hard to actually sell. It relies heavily on availability, urgency, and time, which is where we're positioning our AI system to fall in line with whatever they have going on. Availability, again, is much more valuable because of this, and it leads directly to revenue generation without much of a sales process even happening at all, because again, people are kind of sold on the idea of needing to tow something. And just like plumbing, missed calls are not forgiving, meaning somebody who's calling a towing company and they don't pick up, most likely they're going to call a competitor directly after that because they want to work with somebody as quickly as they can. So we looked at the outcome and we said, if our AI system was implemented, we're pretty much going to see very similar things to plumbing. They're going to get higher monthly revenues because, again, a lot of those calls are going to be converted to long-term revenue, long-term customers, and they're going to immediately be getting jobs on the calendar, which also then increases customer satisfaction and customer loyalty. These were pretty similar in terms of comparing the outcomes. So now to officially kick off day 4, we're going to do one last thing today before we actually start thinking about building the infrastructure for everything we're trying to do, how we're going to be building our offer, how we're going to be finding the people we talk to, all of that good stuff. Here's what I'm going to try to explain to you. Think about this. All of the numbers that we found and all the pain points that we found and all the symptoms that we found were brainstormed by us, right? And our brainstorming was basically put to steroids with AI. We used ChatGPT to do a lot of our conceptual understanding of both the different industries. Then we dug deep into each one, right? We found out how their day actually goes. We dug deep into their problems, where their problems land, what those symptoms are for those problems. And what we did then is we researched and searched online while we're pulling all of these different factors together and all the different sources. But all of this is still not yet verified. Why is that? It's because it's all still hypothetical. So in order for us to truly verify what we found, we have to go out to the real world. We have to look at real people's conversations. We have to look at real people's pain points, real people's reactions. We're not going to look at just theoretical and hypothetical numbers. And I'm going to show you guys the best method to go about that right now. This, by the way, what we're doing right now is conceptually the exact literal step of what anybody who is doing what we're doing right now would do. There's a bunch of ways to actually do it, which is what we're going to dive into today. That's the big goal for today, is to validate both the plumbing pain points, symptoms, and numbers that we found and the towing pain points, symptoms, and numbers that we found against the real world. So let's go ahead and actually start with that. Now, obviously, step one, right? Where do you find the closest resemblance to the real world on the internet? That's the problem with online. It's filled with bots, it's filled with AI, it's filled with this different weird activities that are happening all the time on the internet, which we are trying to stay the farthest away from because we want to get as close as possible to the real world insight, conversations, inputs, thoughts, and feedback that people would have. The number one place right now on the internet for that is Reddit. The reason why is because Reddit heavily guards against bot and spam activity on its platform. It tries to maintain that real authentic user interactions on Reddit, which is a huge plus for us. It's also filled with people and communities that talk to each other about what they're struggling with, why they're struggling with this stuff, what they hate about it, what they don't hate. All of these different forums and subreddits, they exist in these big group chats. They're called subreddits. And so there's basically endless amount of dialogue that happens on Reddit daily across the United States and across basically the entire world. These different factors all are going to be playing into the same equation to help us a lot. The fact of the matter is there's a lot less bot, a lot less AI, a lot less spam and junk activity inside of Reddit. It's focused more on these real world interactions that we're trying to find. And the fact that it's centered around groups, communities, people actually talking, having real discourse, that's going to be the closest source of truth that we can find to the real world problems and real world feedback that exists online. So how do we actually go about it, right? Reddit is a huge platform. There's millions of subreddits for this specific problem, and there's so many different subreddits for so many different things, right? It's huge. Where do you even begin to explore it? That's where we're going to start leaning more today towards AI and automation world and actually using tools to find how we can actually do this and how we're going to actually use it. I'm going to show you guys basically the tools and methods of going about this and scraping it all and analyzing it in a way that uses both AI and automation. So the idea here is super simple. There are tools and services out there which have agentic systems and scrape systems, right? Systems that work together to scrape information and do the analysis for you. They will go to Reddit, scrape a tremendous amount of information, use the internal AI models to analyze and pull information from everything that it read. It's going to read through it and then feed all of that insight back to you on the platter. That's the idea here of how we're going to be validating everything that we did. And these kinds of services did not used to be as popular or prominent back in the day. The reason why is because AI wasn't really around for that long. And people found out that they can just feed huge massive context of data into AI and have it do the hard work. Now it's just kind of like skyrocketed to the top of how people are going to be validating against real world problems. The idea here is just to scrape a huge amount of context from online communities and real world interactions and have AI do all the analysis for us and basically give us all that insight. Because here's the thing, there are several different tools and solutions that will do this, and it became the best way to go about it just because now you're filtering through and looking at real people's insight, and you're not having to do all the hard work of actually doing it yourself, which you used to have to do back in the day. Now, I'm going to tell you guys about one that I was using and have been using for the longest time, but unfortunately for you guys and everybody that's watching right now, you're probably not going to get your hands on this specific tool, but I'm going to show you guys other alternatives to it. So let me just dive into it right now, and I'm going to explain to you exactly why. Now, I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to just search Gummy Search. As soon as I search for Gummy Search, you're going to see the very first thing says Gummy Search for Reddit. This is a research tool for Reddit. It literally does what I just told you. It searches and analyzes huge communities and a lot of people's conversations, and it gathers all of that real world feedback for you, and it kind of hands it to you on a platter. It used to be a very freaking amazing tool, but for you guys, I just clicked on it and you're probably reading this. Gummy Search is closed as of November 30th, 2025. Literally like over a month ago from the time you're probably guys watching this video right now. Basically, it's closed right now. Luckily, the creators of Gummy Search understood that there was a lot of demand and hype for tools like this. So what they did is they put together a list of alternatives, which is basically what we're going to be exploring and doing today. And by the way, I have not used any other tool since Gummy Search. So what we're going to do today, what we're going to do right now, you guys are going to see me literally do this for the very first time ever with you. None of this is like old grounds to me at all. The only tool I did use was Gummy Search, and that's gone. So if I look at the top right here, you're gonna see you can find alternatives right here. If I click that, you're gonna see a list of different alternatives right here, and we're just gonna take a look and see what's available. These are 5 chosen ones from the creators of Gummy Search, which I trust because again, I used Gummy Search before and I know how valuable this stuff is. Now, while we're here, let me explain to you guys an idea before we actually dive into the tools. Literally, the fact that there is a tool called Pain on Social, right? This tool right here, the fact that there's even a tool in existence called Pain on Social, whose main job is to find customer pain points and validate business opportunities from Reddit. I mean, it's literally exactly what we're trying to do. This in of itself, the fact that it exists as a product or a service tells you that there is a big amount of people in the world looking to do this specific part that we're trying to show you guys right now. You're not gonna learn these tools in business school, right? This is a real world tool used for doing a real world step that you have to do in the business process, which is validating what you research. And these kind of tools exist on the internet for you guys to basically guide you through how to do this stuff using AI tools and automation tools and different scrapers that do this important step. I'm showing you this because I want you to understand how important this step is, that there's dedicated services. And by the way, this is only 5 of them. There are hundreds on the internet, dedicated services and paid tools around this concept. It's because the world understands its value. You have to validate pain points and symptoms that you find in your research. And this always happens before you start building. Because I explained to you guys earlier before, when you're building, before doing the market research and before you're doing the validating and understanding those pain points and symptoms, basically what we did in day 1, 2, and 3, you're literally walking into whatever you're doing blind. You're gonna try a million different things and you are going to fail. You're gonna wonder why nobody wants anything from you. It's because you don't know the room you're walking into. Remember our shirts example. You have no idea who these people are and what they want. So this step right here is super critical in any kind of business. It's a very important step that you understand this in the business process. And earlier we took all of this time to understand those pain points and symptoms and we researched them. Now we have to see if what we did is actually valid against the real world. This is that validation step. We're just gonna basically explore this tool and I'm gonna sign up for it for the very first time with you guys. So let's just basically go ahead and jump into it. I'm gonna click on Paint on Social. So I'm just gonna click on it and okay, so it looks like stop guessing what to build, helps entrepreneurs find, validate business opportunities by analyzing Reddit communities, generates AI-powered solutions. All right, so we have a week trial. This is not a free tool. How does it work? You choose communities. So you search Reddit directly to find communities or browse suggested subreddits, and then you build a custom list of communities to analyze. When using Gummy Search, what you used to have to do is you have to go inside of Gummy Search and you can search for specific keywords. You can type in a pain point, right? Something like missed calls. And then you can actually refine it to a specific industry or a niche. So you can say missed calls and social media marketing agencies. And what the tool would do is it would ask you a few more different questions about how refined do you want that search, and then it'll go out and actually do the scraping. So it'll go to the subreddits, look at all the conversations, pull all of them, use AI to analyze everything, and then give you a lot of very important key points. That's basically how a lot of these tools work. This is just another variation of them. So I'm just gonna read this to you so that way you understand what's happening, right? So you get to choose communities, you have to search directly inside of Reddit, and you browse the suggested subreddits, then you run an analysis. So you let AI analyze the recent Reddit discussions from the selected communities, and it looks at the important stuff we care about, which is pain patterns, and it scores them by frequency, intensity over time frame. Look at these 3. Look, frequency, intensity, and time frame. These are literally the 3 things that we talked about earlier that we needed to find, because these cook up a specific formula as to how bad somebody wants an AI system or anything you're selling to them. Anything that impacts the frequency, intensity, and the time frame. Remember, we measured frequency of how this was. Wait, let me pull up the actual screen here. So look, I literally just pulled up the board that we created yesterday, which by the way, we created from our brain. We said we want to measure how much of this happening, how annoyed they are at this happening, and what the outcome is going to actually look like. This is something that we wrote on like what, day 2 or day 3? I don't even remember at this point. That's exactly the formula that you need to focus on. I mean, they listed it right here for a reason. And the number 3 is you have to get insights and solutions, which again, the AI is going to rank those pain points with real quotes from direct Reddit links, and it's going to generate solution ideas and identify your target audience to accelerate product development. Folks, these 3 steps is definition of validating, right? You're looking at real world feedback, you're running an analysis against it, and then you're looking at the result of that analysis and you're seeing, does it match with what I already have in mind about what I researched? That's basically what we're doing here. And so let me just scroll down and see what's happening here. And so let me just scroll down and take a look at the rest of this landing page. So it looks like this is just an example of what that would look like, right? Overcoming writer's block. I'm assuming that's the pain point. It tells you where it found it. It gave it a score, and it gave you like actual quotes from people, right? So I'm assuming this is an example of what it would find. It gives it a score. This is the pain point, and then here's quotes, and you can actually see where it's pulling its evidence from. Let's just go ahead and I'm literally just gonna click get started. I'm gonna sign up for an account right now and we're gonna test it out and see what happens. What does the price look like for this? So you get a 1 week free trial and then $19 per month. You get 5 pain point scans per day, up to 2 subreddits per scan, advanced AI scoring, 10 evidence. Compared to Gummy Search, to be honest, this is much lower, but we don't really have too many options here. I mean, I guess we can explore.
Yeah, explore some of the other options. Yeah.
I guess we can really explore and see what these other ones are and how they compare to this one right here. But we're gonna keep this in the back of our mind, right? 5 pain point scans per day. We have more than that. Up to 2 subreddits per scan. Advanced AI scoring. Which, by the way, if you guys don't know, like subreddits are huge. So the fact that we're getting 2 subreddits per scan, a subreddit is usually very, very long in dialogue. So this is, I mean, it's not bad. Up to 10 evidence per pain point. So basically what it means right here, 10 evidence is probably 10 different interactions or quotes or things that people are saying. AI solution ideas, 2 per pain point. I guess this is like AI generated solution idea, and you can export the result. Let's just explore what else we have here. So we got Reddit lead generation. It's an AI based lead monitoring service built by another. So okay, we don't care about lead monitoring service. What is this one? Reply agent, AI agent that scans Reddit for relevant conversations and promotes your product. We don't want to promote our product. We do care about the scanning for Reddit for relevant information, but this looks like if you're, but this to me looks like if you're trying to sell something to real people, and you want to validate like an actual product and maybe have it done in like this automated way, you can do that here. And then you have Reddit market research. And then you have this one right here, Reddit market research called Buzzabout. Market research against market research agent for Reddit and other social platforms. This pretty basic description. I'm gonna open up and see what this is about. Research social media conversations for strategy. All right, so this looks like it's in the realm of what I'm looking for. AI-driven insights from billions of discussions on social media. All right, so this is just their landing page.
Editors research.
So competitor research, narrative tracking. All right, I don't really care about this stuff. Let me look at features here. All right, let me look at pricing here. This one gives you, so you can try it one time. So if I paid $19, I get 50 RH. What is RH? Research hours is a usage credit which equals the amount of content a human analyst would process in 1 hour. That's very interesting. I've never heard of that before.
The tool gives us good insights into what the market says and thinks on a scale that is almost impossible to do manually. Buzzabout delivers insights into how users and audiences talk about brands, products, and key topics.
What are you looking at here?
Their testimonials.
Oh, okay. And I wouldn't trust testimonials too much. I mean, no company's gonna put fake, or no company's gonna put bad testimonials, of course. So like that's just all marketing to me. I just want to look at what it does and what we get for paying, because ultimately we're gonna have to subscribe to one of these tools. So what we're gonna do right now, Miles, is we're gonna look at the different ones from here that we care about, potentially research some more using like ChatGPT or something else, and then we're just gonna compare features and pricing, and then we're gonna choose one and actually subscribe to it. And
Yeah, we're using that to search through subreddits.
well, the thing is, Reddit is usually the primary thing, but there's tools that will not only just scrape Reddit in general, but they'll scrape like other social media sites where there is a lot of discourse happening. So
Okay, and
that's the
that's what
idea, right?
gummy search
It's
is.
the validation. It's you conceptually what you're doing is you are doing a query, which is a search against a big discourse, and you're looking at all of that discourse and having AI analyze it and then give you a bunch of stuff that would take you normally hours to do. That's just in a conceptual idea. That's what's happening here. So we're trying to find out what's the best tool to do this. What's the best bang for our buck right now? 5 pain point scans per day. Let's take a look at this one right now. I'm not
I
understanding
mean,
this research
this
hour.
one's
It's a usage
cheap.
credit which equals the amount of content a human analyst would process in an hour. So they're saying they're gonna give you 50 credits, which each credit is worth the amount of information somebody can find in a real hour of time, meaning 50 hours of work of research. Okay, according to this, very weird, interesting way to put it. But I've never seen nothing like this before. 0.39. Oh, so what is this? Usage credit, which equals the amount of content. Oh, they're telling you how much each research hour costs, which is 40 cents per research hour. You get credit rollovers, you get tracking, parallel search, custom data. So parallel search might be nice to have, and audience analysis is good to have too. Um, what this means basically is you get to do multiple searches at the same time just to save time for yourself and not have to redo searches, or you know what I mean, just you can have multiple pages happening at the same time. Do they offer a monthly? Do they offer a trial? It looks like they do. What does their trial look like? Is it 7 days, 14 days? Oh, it's free. We don't even have to do anything. Let's watch this video. There's a video here.
Hi there, thanks for signing up. I'm Victor, co-founder of Buzzabout, a tool that reads and listens billions of social media conversations in real time. We collect mentions and comments around your and listens billions
Look here. You got Reddit, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Just
of
cool.
social media conversations in real time. We collect mentions.
So I wonder if we can filter to just Reddit, because like
Which one is this?
this is Buzzabout, yeah. So I'm watching their little tutorial video right now. I clicked start a free trial. It took me to their user interface where I can actually like start typing and do stuff. But I just want to see what this guy has to say before I actually start using it.
And comments around your niche, brand, or competitor. Then map the patterns, key topics, pain points, objections, and
Wait, I'm gonna keep pausing the video and just analyzing what's happening here. You get a basic AI overview at the top. You get an engagement rate, total engagement, views, potential reach, and mentions.
objections,
You get activity over a period of time.
and the quiet things people are saying. Buzzabout is designed
All right, that's cool. Here, you get to like type with an AI that actually reads the analysis and answers questions that you have based on what it pulled.
to help you analyze
really
competitors, find content ideas, analyze
So what is this? Topics: tool landscape selection, content generation changes, genre.
trends or influencers, and in general to help you differentiate on this crowded market by deeper understanding of your audience and social media landscape. I've just sent you an email with a link to a database where I collected many useful tutorials and use cases, so you'll get most out of the tool, and hope you will find many insights for you.
All right, let's do this interactive demo here. Extracting. All right, let's do this demo real quick. Start by entering interested topic, niche, brand, or URL to explore trending activity. So, all right, cool feature. Expand your scope by including insights from X for a broader industry view. So I guess you get to select the platform here, which is kind of cool. It doesn't have to be just everything. We can just select only Reddit. And then we could do a date range to gain a comprehensive view of how long this. Okay, this is cool. So you can select the date, and then you can launch the research to define the query. Review the post to ensure you're collecting the most relevant content information. So the posts actually show up on the right side. It's kind of cool. You get to scroll through them and see what is happening. And then what do you get? Fine tune your research to zero in on the most relevant conversations using Boolean operators. By the way, if you guys don't know what Boolean operators mean, it just means yes or no, true or false. That's all that means. So I guess this is saying you can do include. Oh, okay, wait, let me see. I actually don't know what they mean by Boolean operators in the search. We're just gonna have to try it out. Oh, that's what it means. Future and digital marketing and AI. So this technically is considered a Boolean operator because it's ask AI assistant to help you refine your Boolean query. What does that mean? I would like to. What did he type to it? I didn't even see it. You can paste the URL directly here for an account or a subreddit. So this is if we actually went to find the subreddit. We could just paste it here. Let's just analyze here. or many URLs. So you can do batch, which is kind of cool if we found a batch amount of subreddits, and then you can initiate search, dive deeper into insights, tracking to enable weekly digest. We don't care about tracking that much. Mentions associated, so you can look at mentions, and you can filter the mentions by date, and you can chat with the research copilot, which this is very helpful. Build charts based on collect data. We don't care about that. Explore prompt library. Don't care about that. Don't care about that. All right, let's exit out of here. Let's actually jump back into the app and figure out what we need to do. This specific tool, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jump into ChatGPT and I'm going to create a query that I want to encompass exactly what I want. The idea what I'm doing here is I know in the backend this uses an AI. I told you guys earlier, the best way to work with an AI is to make sure that whatever system prompt, whatever instruction you're giving it is very detailed and encompassing. And the best way to go about that is having an AI create it by you giving that AI a context dump of what you want. So that's basically exactly the idea that I'm going to do here. I do this a lot. You guys don't know how important, how amazing that is to do, because it saves you so much manual thinking while you're getting the best quality for the search that you're actually using with whatever tool. So I'm just going to jump back into ChatGPT. I'm going to give it a context dump. We're going to jump into the same chat that we were in, Miles, and I'm going to say, hey, I'm using this tool. I want to do this, and that. Give me the best system prompt. And then we're just going to jump into it and do that. What we're going to do to make our lives a little bit easier is we're going to list them out. Okay, so we're just literally going to list the ones that we're looking at, and then we're going to compare them each other. We're going to look at their features, what they can do, how they can do it, their pricing, all that good stuff. And then once we do that, we're going to look at the different trials, right? So some of them offer trials, some of them don't. We're going to try to explore the trials. From there, the goal is to end up with one, maybe two very good tools to actually do what we need to do. And then we're just going to jump into that one once we decide it. But first, we got to figure out which ones we're dealing with. So let me just list them out here on the left side. The first one we have Buzz About. So that's the one that gave us the little free trial, which we're looking at right here. We're going to list it right now. So the first one is Buzz About. The next one it is Pain on Social. So I'm going to list that one right next to it or under it. And then let's look at that list one more time here. So Reddit pain point analysis. Reddit content marketing helps reduce account bans and support subreddit recommendations and lead discovery. Not really what we're trying to do here. Reddit keyword tracking. That's the original Reddit keyword monitoring tool. It's pure keyword matching, no AI, but hey, it's free. This is limiting in a specific way because let's just say the keyword was, missed calls. Obviously, the word itself missed and the word calls would have to be together for this keyword matching search to work. But if there's an AI, then it can understand different variations of missed calls, such as dropped calls or unanswered calls or whatever other variation of it. So we kind of don't want to do keyword matching just because we have to be more specific of the amount of keywords that we're searching, whereas AI tools will kind of understand that natively without us having to actually dive into the different ones. So for now, we have these two on the table. I'm going to just do one more quick search just to see what's out there. Maybe if there's something that's better than these. So I'm going to literally go to Gummy Search and I'm going to copy its link, jump back into GPT. I'm going to say, are there other prominent tools like, and then I'm just going to paste a search. Hopefully we can get something back. Let's see. Reddit focus research and audience insight tools. So Reddit hunters, there's that one we did not list. Panel social, that is in our list right now. Notifier for Reddit, customer alerts keyword plus subreddit with notification. F5 bot free alert service. So all right, so there's a few different names here that weren't listed from the Gummy Search alternative inside the website. I'm gonna say rank the top 5 Reddit pain point validation tools. I'm just gonna say rank the top 5 Reddit pain point validation tools, and then let's see what it does. Okay, so it's giving pain on social #1. Why is that? It's specifically built to validate pain points from Reddit threads. Scores the problems by frequency, intensity, provides real quotes. Okay, so what's the second one? Kunai, Reddit AI Analyzer, AI powered pain opportunity summaries. Why is #2? Scan subreddits, summarizes pain points, solution requests, and trends. Let's look that one up because we didn't see that
I'll
on
try
the
that
list right here.
So let's look up that one, Kunai.
Yep, that's this one right here. Kunai.com. Track Reddit insights in real time with AI. Let's click on it. And this is another SaaS product. probably another very similar tool. They all kind of work the same. Monitor Reddit for frustration, get AI powered leads, discover pain points, AI analyzer, validate market. So that's the one we care about a lot, is the market analyzations, up to 300 Reddit posts at once, patterns, pain points, ideas, and more. All right, what is it gonna take to actually jump on this guy? Frex. So there's a free plan, which is good. 100 free leads. We don't care about leads. We don't care about email notifications. Problem finder, up to 3 scans. I don't know what that means, to be honest. Problem finder, up to 3 scans. Unlimited hot promotion post. We'll just throw it in the list for one of the things that we're going to test out. Why not? Night.com. Let's just jump back in here and see what else was out there. Hive site, DIY paint and trend discovery tools built by community. Let's throw this. This is the last one we're going to throw in the list, just because they have a 7-day free trial. Why not? We're not really losing much. So throw that in here. All right, so now we have all 4 of these listed. Let's jump into the first one that was ranked, which was pain on social. That was number 1. We'll do buzz about after that one. So let's go back to gummy search, pain on social, and I'm gonna click on get started. I'm just gonna create a very quick account right now through Google, select my Google account, and then let's see where that takes us. All right, so it's asking me to subscribe in order to try it. 1 week free trial, so I'm just gonna do that right now. Probably gonna do it off camera, and then the next time the camera jumps is gonna be on the free trial. All right, so boom, I just subscribed. We are in here now. Please remind me to take away my credit card from these guys, so that way we're not getting charged for no reason. But now we're in the official dashboard of Pain on Social. I just fixed the screen so you guys should see the full dashboard right now, but this is literally everything that we're seeing. So let's just look at and see what we have here. Discovery, find and add subreddits to your list. Scan, run pain point analysis. That looks like the main thing we're going to do. It's even highlighted in blue and it says main feature. It's cool. Results, view discovered pain points, and you can save pain points here. And then we get 5 daily scans, or at least we have 5 scans for this trial right here. And then scan history, you can look at the specific scan history you have right here. Let's just look at this. So browse or create. So look,
Can you share screen?
So let's look at their getting started little thing right here. Browse subreddits. So these are curated, catalog, and add relevant subreddits to your list. Configure a scan. So choose timeframes and keywords, and then analyze results. Review. Okay, so let's do this. What are these pro tips? Start with 2 subreddits to keep results focused and manageable. Use the 30-day time frame for the best balance of recency and volume. Higher score pain points indicate more frequent and intense frustration. And always verify pain points by clicking through to Reddit discussion. So with that being said, let's jump into the pain point scan. So in order for us to configure and analyze communities, we have to add communities into the scan. And if I click on add communities, now we have a search and filter for specific subreddits on Twitter. So it's telling us to type a keyword to search for subreddits, aka fitness, gaming, cooking. So for our specific searches, it's probably going to be plumbing, and the other one is probably going to be towing. Browse by profession. So alternative search get curated subreddit recommendations for specific professions. That's probably going to be more aligned of what we're looking for, because this is, outside of the professional world. Yeah, so there's a lot of different jobs here. So let's see if plumbers is something that's even here. So is this a premeditated search where like things populate? Let's search for the profession right here. All right, so yeah, they got handyman services, home inspectors, plumbers, which is what we're looking for, and RV technician. So we just verified plumbing already is here. Let's look at towing. So they don't have towing natively inside of the professions right here. I guess we can do like a custom search and just type in the word towing and see what comes up from there. We're not going to do browse by company because we're not targeting a specific company. We're not going to do browse by product. We don't care about that. I'm either going to just search for towing in the general subreddit area here and see what comes up, or I'm just going to search it in professions. By the way, there might be a chance there's not a lot of towing communities on Reddit, which if that's the case, we're probably just going to have to pivot and find somewhere else where either it's a different tool or a different place on the internet we can actually scrape and scour for the things that we're trying to look for. But this is just surface level stuff so far. So I'm just gonna, let's look at what we have to do. What is this pain universe? Looks like this is a pro feature. Okay, so this is like predefined pain points. This is like if you're just, you have nothing yet, but you're trying to figure out things that people are already hating, and you can just explore them and jump into them. All right, let's jump and do a quick scan. I'm gonna officially look for plumbing, and I'm gonna click on plumbers right here, and let's see what loaded up. Right, so we get a top communities for plumbers. You got r/plumbing with 110,000 members. It has a very high tag on it. Community for professional plumbers and DIY enthusiasts. Home improvement, and then only other ones here relevant to us would be not really DIY, not HVAC. Ask
That's
Plumbing
me.
might be, just because it's probably going to be people that are trying to figure out plumbing related questions. We might find some good stuff in here. R/fix it is not really plumbing related. It's more of home service related. Contractors. So what is a subreddit for contractors, including plumbers, to discuss business jobs? This one might be helpful. Uh, Tools, no. Trade school, no. Blue collar women, no. Plumbing advice, plumbing porn, plumbing, and everything else under that is pretty much useless. All right, so we get to pick two because it says 2 slots left in the starter trial for subreddit. So we're just literally just gonna pick the two biggest ones that we could find, which were plumbing and probably r/ask plumbing, and that's it, right? So now our list is full, and let's jump back to the overview, click on scan, and what is this telling us right now? So we have the two subreddits selected. How far back should we research for discussions? We're gonna go as far as we possibly can, just so that way we can get a larger time frame for how long people have been talking about this. I feel like 90 days is a very good balance for that. Run scan. This will analyze two communities for pain points in the last 90 days. We get 5 scans per day, so this is going to be the very first one. Let's just go ahead and run it. And while this is doing its thing, we're probably going to jump back into our note taker right here. And then once this is finished, we're going to write down what we found from Paint on Social. So what I'm going to do right now, very, very quickly, I'm just going to create a thing so we can compare them like this. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. That's cool. And I'm just gonna say Paint on Social, but I'm gonna change it when the time actually comes. Just finished with R plumbing, 6 pain points, 1 out of 2 subreddits done. It's telling us what happens during the scan. So it looks like it's searching the Reddit posts across the subreddit, analyzing the content with AI to find those pain points, giving them that score basically for how frustrated they would be for that pain point, and then saving it to our account. It says this typically takes 30 seconds to 3 minutes. The more subreddits in the list, the longer it takes. Obviously, we're only limited to 2 subreddits because we're on the trial. But assuming we actually like this and we might subscribe to it, we're going to be able to do more than that. But I don't even think we need to do more than 2 subreddits, to be honest, because we just found. So look at that. It just came back with 7 pain points discovered in the last 90 days from these 2 subreddits. Let's look at the very first one: difficulty with plumbing repairs and installations. It's giving it a score of 85, and it found it from r/plumbing. Let me look at the AI analysis right now that is generating, and it looks like it gave us 20 quotes from this subreddit. I mean, there's 20 different interactions. If I click on it, let's see right here. So who is suffering? This is the AI analysis. Homeowners, renters, and DIY 25 to 55 who attempt to handle basic plumbing repairs or installations themselves due to higher plumbing cost or unavailability. So right here, keyword unavailability, folks. Plumbers are not going to be available all the time just because there's a lot of jobs happening at all times. Plumbers are not getting jobs because simply they're not available or because the plumbing costs are too high. We are going to look at the unavailability bit right here because this does help our case for AI system that's going to kind of fill in the gap for this availability. They're moderately handy but lack specialized plumbing knowledge, and confidence. They often search YouTube or Reddit for quick answers, prefer visual guidance, and want to avoid costly mistakes. The ideal customer is a tech comfortable homeowner who values time saving, reliable, and affordable repair guidance tool. Um, Keywords here that stood out to me: values time saving. So think about this, right? Um, if the plumber in this situation is lacking knowledge and confidence, what this tells me is you call a plumbing company and the plumber doesn't ask you all the right questions he needs to ask up front, or maybe he leaves things out of the table and then finds them out when the person actually gets to the job after you hire him. That is a big problem, because if you're leaving things off the table and you're not asking the right questions on the phone, you don't have a full picture of the job that you're, signing up for, or that you're paying the plumbing company for. So because of that, they're showing up to a job not prepared, having to watch different YouTube videos or different ChatGPT things, because they didn't get the full image ahead of time. We can put that on our AI system, saying, hey, if somebody calls your company, our AI is going to be able to gather all of that information ahead of time, so your technicians show up to the jobs prepared. Because we found that, hey, a lot of customers are struggling with plumbers because they're saying, hey, your technician's showing up and they're not really prepared. This is going to help boost their confidence and their knowledge, because they're not showing up with no knowledge at all. They're actually showing up with premeditated knowledge about what's happening and why it's happening. And we can actually let the voice AI do some initial troubleshooting on the phone itself. I'm going to show you guys how to actually bake that into the voice system. It's very, very simple with the system prompting that we're going to do. But yeah, you can basically have voice AI cover different parts of what we're reading right now. The very first part is the unavailability, right? The second part is plumbers lacking specialized knowledge and confidence. Oftentimes it's because they're not asking the right questions. If you let the voice AI ask the right questions and get all those answers from the customer ahead of time for the plumbers, they will not have this problem. This also ties into the customer valuing their time, because now the plumber does not have to spend a bunch of time with the customer asking those same exact questions and discovering those same things that our AI system would have already done over the phone before the plumber gets to the house. So because I just found all these things, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna write them down in our whimsical right here. And it doesn't have to be perfect right now. It just has to be something that jogs our memory later when we look at it, right? So unavailability was a big thing. What was the other word? Not inconsistency. Non-competency? Is that the no non-competency? Does that make sense? Like the plumber's not competent. So the word competent, having the necessary ability, knowledge, or skill to do something successfully. I don't know where this word just came out of my brain from, but non-competency. The plumber is not competent on the spot, right? They don't have the knowledge or the tools that they need to ahead of time. I'm going to add one more point right here, which is time waste / time value, right? So the customer values their time and they don't like their time wasted. These are the 3 things that I just pulled from this summary right now. And let me look at what's going on down here. I don't care about solution ideas. Let me jump into the evidence codes, right? Is this and how do I fix it? Help broken drain cover removal. Can I connect the toilet with a 45 to 90 coming? Can I do this? Can I? This just looks like a bunch of different questions. What happens if I click on view on Reddit? Oh, see, this is why we're doing Reddit. Get a plumber. Is this a DIY project? It was 2 months ago. Let's look at this. Just to make things even easier, I'm literally gonna, I'm not about to read all of this. I'm gonna highlight all of this right now. I'm just gonna open up a brand new ChatGPT instance, and I'm gonna say, read through this discourse and see if there's anything worth noting. So here's a competency pain point: value articulation failure. Skilled plumbers are not clearly differentiating professional competence from basic mechanical. The signals in the thread focus on tools rather than systems. Almost no discussion of explanations. Long-term wear. So there's something right here, right? There is a comment. Let's see. So right now what I'm doing is I'm trying to find any sort of comments that lead me to anything that I can pull for the AI system, like some struggle, something that's like, oh, I wish plumbers did this, or anything like that. Mainly, so this is just advice right now. Always call a plumber for plumbing, even if you think you can DIY. If a plumber works on something and it leaks and causes property damage, he's liable cost. All you make a mistake and you have to call a plumber ASAP. So there's a little bit of urgency right here. Right now, just reading off of this right now, this helps validate our original idea that there is emergency situations where people have to call plumber, and there is urgency behind those because things are going wrong. These are the 2 things that we pointed out before we started doing any validations, right? Literally reading this exact situation of this person right now, it looks like they have an emergency situation where they don't know if they can do it themselves or not. They came into the community. They're trying to find out how possible is this? Is this doable? And then people are saying, hey, you should call a plumber, or you should have called a plumber. This ties into what we found out earlier, which is, like, if you read right here, we said by the way, for both towing and home services, the plumbing, a lot of the outcome is going to be revolving around urgency, emergency, availability, and time. And literally all four of these you're seeing in this one specific post in the subreddit right here, right? There's urgency, there's emergency, they're looking for availability, and time is an aspect. And then look at this, right? 85% of callers with emergency jobs will not call back. They're gonna find another plumber because urgent calls are less forgiving and callbacks are much higher chance of losing a high ticket job. So imagine this person right now, right? They couldn't do it themselves. They then had to call a plumber. If that first plumber did not pick up, they are going to 100% call another plumber. This just validated the four main points that we wanted to look at, which was urgency, emergency, availability, and time. And we did that for plumbing. Let's see if we can find some more. Dude, I'm so lost about this drawing in your description. All I see is a big old swinging dick.
I ain't gonna lie, that drawing is actually crazy.
Difficulty diagnosing plumbing issues. Let's run the AI analysis on this bad boy. It's like homeowners, renters, and DIY enthusiasts try to fix plumbing issues themselves, don't have professional knowledge. Their ideal solution provides quick, visual, and reliable guidance to identify the root cause of the plumbing problem without requiring professional tools or expertise. Folks, this is literally, I mean, literally a gold mine for AI systems. Look at that. Their ideal solution gives quick, visual, and reliable guidance to identify the root cause of a plumbing issue without needing the professional tool or the expertise. Luckily for us, large language models are trained on billions and billions of data sets. They're called weights. Okay, so ChatGPT has native knowledge. All these different AIs in the world, they have this in their native knowledge baked. In this situation, what this tells me, in order for us to deliver on this, we can just system prompt, meaning give instructions to our AI system, the voice system that we're going to be giving. We can instruct our voice system to act as an expert plumbing technician that knows what it needs to know about troubleshooting, asking the right questions, and helping people find a diagnostic before a technician goes out. Think about this, right? Think about a world where you can call a company, a plumbing company, and before the phone call even reaches a technician and them having to come out of your house to your house and then ask you a bunch of questions, and you might even be billed for that hourly. What if the AI can walk you through all the troubleshooting steps and ask you the questions that it needs to know in order for you to diagnose the issue that's happening with your plumbing issue? That is something we can 100% offer, and it's super simple to bake into a voice AI system because all you have to do is system prompt it. A system prompt is what you tell an AI so that way it knows what it does, how it's supposed to do it, and when it's supposed to do it. And you can give it a framework to operate in. So what we're going to do for our voice AI system is we can offer something where we can say, hey, our voice AI is going to be in the framework of an expert plumbing technician that can do consulting and diagnosis before the issues even touch your technician. This is going to be tremendous for both the plumbing company and the customer, because if there's a genuine issue, well, guess what? That plumber is now going to have something on their plate ahead of time before actually going to the technician. And the technician is going to have a lot more confidence in the company that he called, where the AI literally helped him find an issue before the call got to a technician. Do you have any idea what is that as an experience from a customer's perspective? That's huge. So this is, this is the suffering point. This is what it's talking about right now. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jump back and I'm gonna write that here. I'm literally gonna copy it, by the way, word for word, right? Their ideal solution needs quick, visual, reliable guidance to identify root cause of plumbing problems without professional tools or expertise. That's like dinging the word AI. And then just in parentheses, I'm gonna say prompting, and that's just gonna give me a quick idea for later or what we need to actually do for this. All right, so let's just look at the quotes right now. We have had our plumber out and they have augured 75 feet from the first. Plumber has cut some of the roots, but not all. Saying basically, plumber is saying, I'm struggling to breathe. Here, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for those little different competency points where we know that if something was done ahead of time by a voice AI system, whatever is happening in this little big situation that they're dealing with would at least be easier. So that's what I'm looking for right now. What I'm gonna do just to make this like manual search a little bit quicker, I'm actually gonna just system prompt a brand new GPT instance to do exactly that, etc. Right? Again, I'm just literally brain dumping. I will only analyze it for opportunities where a voice AI system could have made the situation easier ahead of time. That's literally exactly what we're trying to do right now. So this is just more precise troubleshooting follow-up questions that help figure out symptoms of what their issue is ahead of time.
These are some real plumbers in the comment sections.
Yeah, bro. Something went wrong. They called a plumber and asked for advice. This is something that we already talked about, right? Having the voice AI system diagnose the problem, ask you what's wrong, what things look like, and then give some suggestions based off of that. So this supports that. You got to think about it, right? All of these different questions, they're hitting the plumbing phone line for sure. Reddit is another avenue, right? Most likely what happened is they jumped on Reddit, asked people either took too long to respond, or if they did respond, it wasn't as helpful. Behind a lot of these is still a plumber call that would have happened. So I'm looking at all these and I'm saying, okay, what if each post, what if this post right here and this post right here, hey, I have this going on. I think it's this, it's leaking, it's doing this, it's making this sound. What if all of this stuff first hit the AI system? How much less of these phone calls and these issues would actually end up landing on the plumber's desk before all of that information is gathered ahead of time? I mean, you're going to have a lot of the information and the diagnostic and the answers to these questions done at a first tier 1 support level, then escalated to the plumber. All of these right here are just pinpointing to the same idea that something went wrong. You need immediate help right now, either finding out what's wrong, diagnosing the thing that's wrong, or knowing what you should do. And the third step after you do the first two is you're either going to call a plumber to do that job for you, or you're going to do it yourself. Think about the idea of baking that decision making onto our AI system, where somebody would call the AI, it'll go through all the troubleshooting that it needs to do, and then does the diagnostics and figures out the issue. Here's a common problem that a lot of these guys over here are struggling with. They don't know if the thing that they're looking at is something they can handle themselves or something that a plumber needs to do. There's a clear knowledge gap right there. They're like, is this legal? We read that in a few different subreddits. Is this legal? Can I do this myself? And they're asking about how to do it. They don't understand the scope of what it takes to actually do the job. What if your AI can tell you the scope? What if it can tell you, hey, this is something simple you can actually do yourself and you don't really need a technician for that? Or it'll say, you know what, you need a plumber for this. I highly suggest you should get a plumber and not do this yourself. You can put those kind of scopings inside of our AI system. So it doesn't just act as a consultant and diagnostics, but it can also suggest what is the next step for the caller. That's what they're asking for here. That is what all of these different subreddits and posts are about. Hey, something is wrong right now. What do I do next? What's the next step? Can I do it myself or should I call a plumber to do it? Some people in the comments are saying, oh, this is easy. You can call it yourself. Some people are saying you should call a plumber, but you got to think about the different varying skill levels of everybody in the comments. Not everybody is the person that's making the post. Something that's easy for them might be hard for the person calling. If you're somebody looking at this Reddit post and somebody's saying, oh, this is easy, and then you jump into it yourself, and you start doing it and you figure out it's harder than it actually is. Maybe for you, it's a little bit harder for you because you're just not used to that. What's going to happen next is now you are going to have a half finished job and you're still going to call a plumber. Either way, you're going to end up going that route. Why don't we make that mess easier on you as the customer with the plumbing issue and have our AI system diagnose the issue with you, ask all the questions, deliver those answers to the plumber ahead of time, and it'll tell you if this is something you can do yourself or a plumber should do for you. This is a big picture. What I got from just reading all of these different posts is you have different conflicting comments. Some people saying it's easy, some people saying it's not. That's not their job to say. They might give you advice, but at the end of the day, I guarantee you a lot of these still ended up with a plumber phone call. Now, what I'm thinking is, how do we optimize the best when that plumber phone call happens? Obviously, it's going to be the information gathering, diagnosis, looking at what the problem is and asking the right questions, delivering that information to the technician ahead of time, and making sure that the people understand the scope and the complexity of what they're doing. That's what I got from reading all of this stuff. I think we could probably leave it at that. Let me throw that in here just so that way we can have it. Basically just brain dump what I just said to you guys and type it right here. So I'm just gonna throw that here just to say we have it. I think this one is gonna be something we're gonna wanna look at. Frustration with plumbing service availability. Again, availability is a keyword for us because voice AI gives you 24/7 availability when people are not there. Let's just look at the quick analysis, and then we're going to jump into the quotes from Reddit itself and see why this came up. But struggle to find available reliable plumber quickly. They often face urgent issues like leaks or broken fixtures and lack expertise or confidence to do it themselves. This is very, very supportive of the things that we researched earlier. Availability, people being able to pick up the phone call and actually talk to the customers. Reliable customers, we can't really help with reliability. Obviously, that's how how good the plumber it is. We can help with quickly, because if they need something on the spot, that supports our urgency, which we noted for the plumbing and the towing both. We said that they face urgent issues. We already knew that ahead of time. Lack of expertise or confidence they don't have that. The audience values fast response times, transparent pricing, and verified professional help. Keywords right here: fast response time. Voice AI is going to be 24/7 because it's literally going to answer in milliseconds every time somebody calls it. If the plumber has their pricing on the website, or they have some sort of thing that justifies how they get to the pricing, we can feed all of that knowledge into our voice AI system. And so when somebody says, how much does it cost to do blank, the answer is going to be given to them by the voice system right here. So we can actually work on the transparent pricing based on who the company is and how they do pricing. So we can give them that professional help at the very first call by leveraging the AI's like initial training data that it has. Ideal customers are digitally active, willing to use online or apps to book services, frustrated by delays or lack of communication for local plumbers. So the two key points here is lack of communication and delays. And missing phone calls leads to delays in getting back to people, leads to delays in updating them, leads to delays in the job itself, and then lack of communication. Well, if they're busy, of course there's going to be lack of communication. Lack of communication just means I don't have time to get back to you because I'm doing something right now. These are things that could be very, very easily supported by having an AI system that can do these things. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think with that being said, we pretty much are done with plumber validation. I think we got the very, very big points that we wanted to find out, which is before we did this, we assumed that urgency, emergency, availability, and time are going to be the four big things that are revolved around both plumbers and towing. We did say that a lot of callers are going to have emergency jobs and they're not going to call back if they find another plumber. And which means that everything is less forgiving because there's no callbacks. There's a much higher chance of losing high ticket jobs and a higher chance of leaving revenue on the table, which leads to missed profits. What we just looked at in all those different Reddit posts is that a lot of people were having big emergencies. They didn't know what to do. They went inside of Reddit posts and tried to ask questions and tried to get some advice on what they should do. A lot of people were conflicting. Some people were giving them advice. Some people were telling them to call plumbers. Either way, it was all over the wall. But the big idea is these people needed help and they didn't want to just call the plumber to get all this stuff because plumbers, one, were either unavailable or too expensive. So they went to these communities, tried to get as much feedback from people, most likely still called the plumber back. This validated that there is a big chance of plumbers not really being available or still being available, but maybe not having the competency to do that initial troubleshooting and asking them the right questions ahead of time before going out to the place and looking at everything. And we also validated that plumbing jobs are usually high ticket. Also found some additional information which told us that plumbers around December and January struggle with slow business. This opened up a different avenue of something we can sell, which is outbound voice AI. We were focusing a lot on inbound, but now we can say, hey, if you have a CRM with a bunch of different customers, we can actually do voice AI where they can call a lot of these different customers and try to get some of that business back for you during those slow seasons. So this is going to be part of our package when we actually create our offer and our packaging later. We found that they have a lot of repeated pricing questions, and we found that a lot of these issues are centered around availability, time, and urgency of what's going on. It's pretty much validation done, at least for Paint on Social for the plumbing. I really don't think we need to do the other ones. I'll do it off camera just in case there's anything we did miss, but I really don't think we missed anything.
So for anybody who maybe didn't want to go into plumbing or towing, they'd be able to use this for any kind of niche that they wanted to research.
So this doesn't, so the tool itself that we're using doesn't actually matter. Buzzable doesn't matter. Paint on Social doesn't matter. There's so many of them out there, right? The idea of what you're doing. Normally, before these tools existed, people did this process manually, right? And what I'm trying to explain to you conceptually is that, hey, if I have premeditated ideas about a market or about a specific problem, I need to validate and make sure that what I'm thinking, what I'm pulling from my research, actually matches to what the world and what people are talking about. And the closest way to do that is either one, in real life go out and talk to people and do surveys and have people like actually answer you, go out to the market and speak to them, or you try to get the closest resemblance to that online, where that's where we're coming into Reddit. And people discover that Reddit is the best place for that because it's literally built on communities, authenticities, and they try to minimize the amount of bot and AI activity that's actually happening in it. So the idea of what we're trying to do is, instead of us going out to the real world, we're using these tools to do it for the things that we care about, whether it is plumbing, whether it's selling shoes, it literally does not matter. All that's happening here is there are scrapers and AI tools that are going out and scraping massive amounts of information, consolidating it all into one place, and then giving it to you and then having you analyze these things instead of us having to do all the manual search, right? That's basically what we're doing here. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be plumbing. It doesn't have to be, it's literally for any type of premeditated idea you have about a market. You're just going out and seeing if what you're thinking about it is real. And all you're doing is using these things as tools to help you understand what you already know or what you think you already know. It's not limited to plumbing. It's not limited to towing. It's literally for any kind of issue you want. This is just a tool.